Today I will start with TCP/IP model. I think in yesterday's class we have already studied models. OSI model we have already studied. So what we will do, we will study TCP/IP model today. Okay. I think all of you have earlier studied TCP/IP model. So today we will study TCP/IP model. How does it work? Since whenever I am talking of cyber security, then we must know that how the messages or how the data is being transferred from one end to another end. What are the models that are being used? So this information is important. So we must study. For that, we must study the TCP/IP model. Okay. Oh, thank you, Srijita, for your wish. So earlier in the earlier class, we have studied OSI model or TCP/IP model. Can anybody tell in last class what we have studied?
OSI model.
So let us share my screen. I'm going to share my screen. Thank you all for your wishes. So let us start today without any delay. Today is the third class of cyber security and we will study TCP/IP protocol. Before starting TCP/IP protocol, let me say something about that protocol. The OSI model we just learned at is just a reference or logical model. It was designed to describe the functions of the communication system by dividing the communication procedures into smaller and simpler components. But when we talk about TCP/IP protocol, it was designed and developed by Department of Defense in 1960s and it is based on standard protocol. It stands for Transmission Control Protocol or Internet Protocol. The TCP/IP model is a concise, we can say TCP/IP model is a concise form of any model regarding how to do the transmission, or we can say it is concise form of OSI model. How many layers are there in TCP/IP model? Does anyone have any idea how many layers are there? If anyone have answered, then yes. Please repeat.
4 layers.
4 layers are there. Okay. Let us start with the definition. TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control or Internet Protocol, which is a set of networking protocol that allows 2 or more computers to communicate. TCP/IP specifies how data is exchanged over the internet by providing end-to-end communication that identify how it should be broken into packets, addressed, transmitted, routed, and received at the destination. Internet Protocol, IP, defines how to address and route each packet to make sure it reaches the right destination. Each gateway computer on the network checks this IP address to determine whether to forward the message or not. TCP is a connection oriented and actually there are two types of protocol. One is connection oriented and another is connectionless. So TCP is connection oriented. A connection is established between client and server. First the connection is established, only then the data transfer can be done. The server must be listening for connection requests from clients before a connection is established. The server listens from all the nodes or from all the clients who wants to establish a connection and then approves the connection. This is the diagrammatic representation of TCP/IP model. Physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, and application layer. These are different layers which are present in TCP/IP model. TCP/IP model, it was developed earlier to OSI model. The TCP/IP model is not exactly like OSI model, just like I have earlier said that it is the concise form of OSI model. These layers provide physical standards, network interface, internetworking, and transport functions that correspond to the first four layers of OSI. They correspond to first four layers of OSI model, and these four layers are represented in TCP/IP model by a single layer, which is also called application layer. TCP/IP is a hierarchical protocol made up of interactive machines or made up of interactive modules, and each of them provides specific frequency. Each and every process, they provide specific functionality. TCP/IP is a hierarchical protocol that is a hierarchical protocol made up of interactive modules, and each of them modules are called specific functionality. That means each of the modules is having its different specific personality. Let us start with model. This is the diagrammatic representation. Functions of TCP/IP layer. TCP/IP is a hierarchical protocol made up of interactive modules. That means there are several interactive modules which collectively made TCP/IP protocol suite, and each of them provide secure function, and each of them provide specific functionality. SMTP, I think all of you must have heard this name, or you have read somewhere in your 3 years course, but it is, wait, somewhere in waiting room. So SMTP, FTP, Telnet, DNS, SNMP, NFC, network file control, network TFTP comes in application presentation session. It is a compaction of these three layers, whereas in transport layer there is TCP and UDP, and In network, mainly there are, see, physical layer, data link layer, network, transport, and then a combination of application, presentation, and session. They are not kept as separate papers, but this, let us move to another functions of TCP. Let me ask something more. I am continuously speaking. I don't know whether you are able to understand anyone or not. You people are just silent. Can anybody tell me about TCP IP layer? What are the layers? The name of the layer I received. But what are the functions of those layers? Anything? Shobik Patro. Shobik Patro, you can unmute yourself and speak. If you want to say something about TCP IP layer. What is TCP IP layer and what is the function of TCP IP layer? You want to say something? No. Shubham Roy, do you remember the working of TCP IP layer? Anything about TCP IP layer? Shubham? Can't remember. Anybody, they want to answer or should I proceed? It means all of you have forgot. Each TCP IP model is based on a 5-layer model for networking. Each layer in the TCP IP model handles a particular set of problems involving some aspect of sending data between distributed user applications. What are distributed user applications? They are the applications that are running on different computers and often on different networks. The 5 layers: physical, data link, network, transport, application. These are, again, this diagram shows what are the protocols or protocol data unit and addressing scheme that are used by different layers. In physical layer, the protocol it used is 10 base T and 802.11. In data link layer, Ethernet and Wi-Fi. Network or internet layer, IP. Transport, TCP IP and UDP protocol. Application layer, start from the protocol used are HTTP and SMTP, and the protocol data unit is messages. Addressing is not applied in case of application protocol. Here you find applications only. Thank you, students, all of you, for your wishes. All of you stay blessed and happy. So this is the macroscopic view of each layer. Each layer provides TCP IP with basic information it needs to data across the network. These layer groups functions accordingly that need to be performed. Every function in this model is large and is based on a specific layer platform. And a specific layer platform, its job. Layer 1 encodes and transmit bits. Layer 5 request connection to remote host. Okay, So this is the macroscopic view. Macroscopic means broadly. This is the view from layer 1 to layer 5. What are the things that are present and that it controls? Now let us start learning about the layer one by one. First was application layer. What is application layer? This layer performs the function of top 3 layers of OSI model: application, presentation, and application, presentation, and which layer? Session layer. It is responsible for node-to-node communications and control user interface specification. Some of the protocols presented in this layer are HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, TFTP, Telnet, SSH, then SMTP, SNMP, NTP. NTP is Network Transfer Protocol. Okay, so these are the name of some protocols. The application layer generates message. In this case, the specific application is a web browser requesting a web page download. This message is then sent to the transport layer. Now let us start TCP/IP. This is TCP/IP application layer overview. Network access layer, network layer, name management and domain name system, internet, network management, simple network management protocol, transport, remote login, telnet, R login. Application, file transfer, FTP and TFTP, network file system. These all diagrams shows the working or the overview of this layer. What are the main functions of these layers? That is being represented by the diagram. So the next layer which we will study is transport layer. What is the function of transport layer? I am asking anyone. Can anyone say what is the function of transport layer? Anybody? They can unmute themselves and speak. Okay. Not getting any response from anyone.
Transport layer is to provide the communication services to the application layer.
Okay. Something more from anyone? Anybody else? Out of so many participants, only one responded. Anybody else? What is the function of transport layer? No one. The transport layer, it is responsible for reliability, flow control, and correction of data which is being sent over the network. Mainly there are two protocols that are used in transport layer. These protocols are user database datagram protocol and transmission control protocol, UDP and TCP. Let us study UDP and TCP in short. UDP provides connectionless service. There are two types of services. One is connection oriented, another is connectionless. So UDP provides connectionless service and end-to-end delivery of transmission. It is an unreliable protocol. UDP is an unreliable protocol as it discovers the error, not specify the error. User datagram protocol or UDP protocol discovers the error and ICMP protocol reports the error to the sender that user datagram has been damaged. UDP consists of, there are several fields. The important fields which UDP consists of is source port address, destination port address, total length, which is in number of bytes, checksum. Checksum is a field. For what purpose checksum is used? For what purpose checksum is used? Does any one of you ever heard about checksum?
Ma'am, error correction or error detection.
Yes, correct. Checksum is a 16-bit field used in error detection. Also, it is important to keep in mind that UDP does not specify which packet is lost. UDP contains only checksum. It doesn't contain any ID of a data segment. Now, UDP was one protocol. Another protocol is TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. TCP provides a full transport layer service to applications. It connects a virtual circuit between the sender and the receiver and is active for the duration of the transmission. At the sending end, TCP divides the whole message into smaller units known as segments, and each segment contains a sequence number, which consists of sequence number and which is equipped for recording the frames to form an original message. Let us look. This is the diagrammatic representation which I have already explained, TCP and UDP. Now, what is the next layer? Next layer is network layer. What is the job of this network layer? Can anyone tell what is the job of this network layer? It is the lowest layer of TCP/IP model. A network layer is the combination of physical layer and data link layer defined in the OSI reference model. The layer is mainly responsible for the transmission of data between two devices on the same network. The function carried out by the layer are encapsulating the IP datagrams into frames, retransmitted by network, and the mapping of IO. this network layer, it is important to know that each and every layer, when the data pass through that layer, it adds header and tailor to the message. Network layer also adds a header including the source and destination IP addresses to generate a packet. This is the diagrammatic representation of network layer. Now let us go to data link layer. This is data link layer. This is another layer. What is the role of data link layer? Data link layer is responsible for creating the frames that move across the network. It is the job or feature of data link layer. These frames encapsulates the packets. These frames encapsulates the packets and use MAC addresses to identify the source and destination. MAC address is used to identifying the source and destination. Identification of proper destination and source is important so as to understand properly the working, the internal working. Now physical layer. Physical layer encodes and decodes the bits found in a frame and includes the transceivers that drives and receives the signals on the network. The entire journey of flow from physical layer to application layer or vice versa for the entire transmission of data packet, that can be depicted. We have already shown the working in the next slide. Anybody have any confusion up to this point? If anyone thinks that there is any problem, they can ask either in chat box, or they can raise their hand, or they can unmute themselves and speak. So, no one. This is the pictorial representation of physical layer. See, each and every, this is the pictorial representation of application to physical layer. With the help of this diagram, we can observe that whenever the message is passed from one layer to another layer, or whenever the message passing is done to different layers, it applies its header and footer messages. Like in application layer, if there is, I want to download a web page, mark the address is 192.5.102. Similarly, in transport layer, the source port and destination port is given. So, again the message, I want to download a web page from this address. The address is specified. This is called segment or diagram. In application layer, there was message. In TCP layer, there is segment or diagram. And in network layer, IP, network layer in source IP address and source port address. Destination IP address, destination port address. Each is present with message. Now we come to data link layer, easily called or by control by MAC. Source MAC address is given, it is a hexadecimal, and destination MAC address is given. SRC, source IP address, destination IP address. and at the end there is message. Wait a minute. Shubham Rai wants to explain the working of physical layer. Okay, wait, Shubham. Physical layer, what is the job of physical layer? Physical layer encodes and decodes the bit found in a frame. The job of physical layer is encoding the message or the bit and decoding at the receiver side. Why encoding and decoding is required? Anyone? They want to attempt why encoding and decoding of bits is required. Who will speak? Nuri Jahan, why it is necessary to encode and decode the bits? No one. I'm not getting any answer. Alekhya Roy, you want to say why encoding and decoding is required? No answers. Encoding and decoding is required to safeguard the data from unauthorized user, and it is the job of physical layer to receive the signals part or to receive the signals on the network, signal part of the network. The entire journey of flow from application layer, it is already described in the diagram. Just remember the main or the primary job of physical layer is encoding and decoding. How to encode the data? To safeguard it from intruders. This is physical layer works for the safety of data that is passed from one end to another end. This diagram I have already explained. See at the where 2 is written, that data link layer or MAC, source address, source IP address, destination address, source port address, and destination port address. So this is the structure diagrammatically. Let us study the detailed flow summary. Let us study from physical layer. The physical layer is the transceiver that drives the signals on the network. Physical layer is the transceiver that drives the signals, transmits and receives bits. Diagrammatically, it is shown as. Then data link layer. Data link layer is responsible for creating the themes that move across the network. So the data link layer is responsible for creating frames. Frame creation is the main job or the main role of data link layer. In network layer is responsible for creating the packets that move across the network. Transport layer establishes the connection between application on the scheduled or on that site. The transport layer establishes connection between application on different hosts. The different hosts are located at different sites, and the establishment the connection is established between them, sitting at different location. Application layer is the group of application requiring network connection. Here you can see a web server A generates the data and request connection. Okay, so this is the diagrammatic representation. Thank you for watching. Today, I will explain only this model. Now I want to ask anybody they want or they have any confusions, then they can ask. Any confusion anywhere?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Since I think this layer, both TCP IP and OSI layer, all of you have studied before, so there is no confusion. When I will start teaching another topics, because actually we have not started cyber security. We are just for studying cyber security. What are the things that are needed before joining the class? That is important. Okay. So should I end the meeting? I will request everyone to please complete assignment and quiz. I am sharing assignment and quiz link every day in WhatsApp group. So try to complete it within